Hey guys, what is up? Dirkiest Dig here. We're back with our yearly ranking for every game that I've played in 2025. Always excited to make this video every year. If you're new here, I've made this video two other times in 2023 and 2024, so this is the third one. And I rank every game that I played in 2025, not necessarily every game that I played that came out in 2025, but every game that I played. So there will be games from 2024 or maybe years prior in this list. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how some games from 2025 stack up to some other games. I'm really excited to make this video. All my other videos on this subject have kind of been around the 15-ish mark for how many games that I was able to get to in the year. This one is easily my biggest one so far. I'm at 19 total games that I was able to get to this year. So it'll be kind of a challenge to fit it in. The Share Factory that I use on PlayStation 5 has a clip limit, so it'll be kind of a challenge to get all these in one video. So you guys will obviously know if you're watching this if there's going to be a part one or part two, but hopefully I'm hoping that I can really get this in all in all in one part here. So it'll be kind of an exciting challenge to see if that's something that I can do. There's a lot of games on here, and again, just kind of some clarification if you're new here. These are single player games, multiplayer games, whatever, and games that I beat for the first time. If they're single player, if I beat for the first time in 2025, and if they're multiplayer, games that I put a decent amount of time into in 2025 for the first time. If I played a multiplayer game for like an hour and didn't touch it ever again, it's not going to be in here. I didn't play it enough to really form an opinion on it. So with that being said, I'm excited to hop into this list. So here we go. Oh, actually, one last thing. If I enjoyed every single game that I played this year, there wasn't really a game that I disliked. So if there's a game that you really like and it's a bit lower on the list, don't take offense to it. This is all my opinion, and I liked it still. I just liked other games on this list more. There wasn't really any stinkers that I played this year, and so I really enjoyed everything that I played. Obviously, some I enjoyed quite a bit more, though. So again, if you have a game that you really like, if it's lower on the list, don't worry about it. I still enjoyed it somewhat, at least. So as we get started with this, just keep that in mind. And yeah. Coming at number 15, kind of fittingly, we have King of Fighters 15. This is a free-to-play game for the PlayStation Plus. I think this came out in, 2023. I could be wrong on that one, but I'm pretty sure it came out in 2023. This is the newest entry in the King of Fighters franchise. A very long and respected fighting game that has been coming out since the 90s. Kind of following the SNK brand, bringing in other characters from other games like Fatal Fury or Samurai Showdown and other games as well, but having quite a few of its own unique characters and that are frequent in the KOF franchise. This game is, there's a ton of characters to play in this game, I'll tell you that right now. Even without the DLC, I did eventually get all the DLC characters because there was a sale for them, so it was pretty cheap to get them. But there's a ton of characters in this game, and they are all very unique. That was kind of the thing that stood out to me the most. There's so many unique characters that, as a person that is like, I would say a casual fighting game fan, I'm not like, I don't play them too often, but I've played my fair share of fighting games, and I get decently into them when I play them. But I'm definitely not playing them all the time, and I'm definitely not competitive. And I mainly just play with friends. But this game has a ton of characters that are all very unique and very kind of like tricky for me to get kind of a hang of, because there's just so many and they all play quite a bit differently. Obviously, there's some universal mechanics that they all share that you'll kind of notice the more time that you put in. But they're all very different, all very unique, just in the terms of how they play. So it's very fun to kind of check out a bunch of the different characters. The main game mode of this game is kind of a team of 3, but not necessarily like a tag fighter like Dragon Ball FighterZ, but more of a kind of like, I don't necessarily know the proper term for it, but just next fighter up type thing, right? Is you lose one character on your team, the next character goes in after and then just the last one standing wins, and it's pretty fun. But you can also do 1v1s if you want to as well, if you're not a fan of that. But the gameplay is it's quite a bit of fun. But the music is really solid in this game too as well. It's a very solid soundtrack for this game. But yeah, it's just a ton of fun to play, and every character is just very unique to play. It has a lot of very unique mechanics And the game doesn't take itself too seriously. Fighting games in general don't really take. If you've played a decent amount of fighting games are probably one of the most unserious genres that you can get into. The games have a lot of there's joke characters in every game, but which King of Fighters 15 really felt like there was a lot of them, but a lot of the characters just don't really take themselves seriously, and KOF is no different. That kind of humorous aspect of it is definitely there and in spades. So very fun game. If you're a fan of fighting games, check it out for sure. There's a lot of different characters to kind of get fond of, and a lot of different ways that they can play the game. So definitely check it out. They're very, very, very fun game. Coming in at number 14, I have Rematch. This is a game that I was kind of interested in, and I had seen. I remember it getting announced a year or two ago. Whenever it got announced, I found it very interesting. I was very intrigued by the fact that the team that made Sifu is making a soccer game. I thought that was a football game, right? I was very intrigued by that, and it just sounded very like, oh, huh, interesting. I wonder what they're going to do with this. And it looked interesting, and I kind of kept up on some gameplay as the game got closer and closer to release. And me and a couple of my friends got it, and this game's a ton of fun. This game makes you feel very stylish. Once you get like the basic flow of the game down, this game will make you feel very stylish and make you feel a lot better at the game than you are at times, based off of some of the cool things that you can do in this game. This game is very stylish, very flashy, very fast paced. It just makes it a ton of fun. It's a very arcadey sports game, so it's not like Madden or FIFA or any of the EA games that just are kind of generic and kind of the same game over and over again every year, just with a different coat of paint. This game is very fun, very unique, and just a ton of fun. I found myself going back and playing this game on my own pretty often, which with a multiplayer game, as I've gotten older, is not something that I do very often. As I've gotten older, and have had more responsibilities, it's been a lot harder for me to want to go back into a multiplayer game and spend my time there. I definitely prefer to play single player games or co-op games on my own, and so going into a multiplayer game and playing on my own is definitely something that I don't do as often. So I find myself going back and playing this game every once in a while, even if it's just a couple games here and there. I still have a good time and have a great time coming back and playing, even if it's just by myself. But this game's just a ton of fun. It's very fast-paced. The games take probably 10 minutes. Some games will take longer. You'll probably maybe get to I've had a game had like a 10-minute plus overtime. It went like 20 minutes. It was intense, but this game is just a ton of fun. But if you're into the competitive aspect, this game can get really intense in those final moments. Once you're in overtime or against a really good team where you guys are evenly matched, this game's just a ton of fun. And definitely enjoyed every time that I went and played this game. I haven't had a bad experience playing this game. Just a really fun game to kind of hop into and have a good time with. Coming in at number 13. Ooh, this one is Black Myth Wukong. This game came out last year. It was a Game of the Year contender, and obviously is kind of a little bit lower on this list, which might surprise some people if you knew that I played this game this year. This game was very, very very fun, and there's a lot to do in this game. I would say kind of the main takeaway, and I just kind of want to talk about, because this is a game that a lot of people probably would expect to see maybe a bit higher once they found out that I played this game. The reason why it's so low is I think this game is just a game that I felt like I would enjoy more, and I ended up enjoying a little bit less than I kind of expected. This game is very well made, and I'll get into all the positives that I have to say about this game in a second, but I think maybe I just wanted a little bit faster. I think I wanted it to be a little bit more hack and slash. It was definitely... I wouldn't say that this game is a Souls-like. It's definitely a blend between Souls-like and action hack and slash, but definitely leans more towards the hack and slash. But there's definitely some Souls-like elements to it. But I definitely wouldn't say that this game is a Souls-like. I definitely saw a lot of people say that this is a Souls-like. I don't really feel... It doesn't really feel like a Souls-like game, and I'm not saying that just because it's not in a medieval aesthetic, but there's just a lot of things and gameplay decisions and things that this game does that I'd say don't really make it a Souls-like in my opinion, but there's so many, like all that stuff is kind of loosey-goosey anyway, but there's just some things I wanted this game to go a little bit more flashy, which it does towards the end, which I really appreciate. I kind of wanted this game to be a bit more of what it was at the very beginning of the game and towards the end of the game than it was in kind of the middle, if that makes sense. But the positives of this game, you can see the love that the devs put into this game from the get-go. The presentation in this game is incredible, and this game is split up into over the course of 6 different chapters, and each chapter really felt like its own game. Obviously, it felt like a continuation, and I say that like obviously is an exaggeration, but every chapter felt very unique. Every chapter has so many different enemies, bosses, mini bosses, so much. There's so much love and detail put into every single chapter and every single area of this game. Whether it's the backgrounds, the architecture, everything just looks like there was so much love poured into it. The detail in this game, it looks very, very good. There's some things with like some debris. Like debris definitely looks kind of wonky. I remember in the opening cutscene, I'm just like the opening set piece, which I'm sure some of you have seen, just kind of was like blowing me away. And then there's like some rubble that happens as a mountain explodes, and it just kind of like falls down and looks, it kind of looks a little wonky. But there's some wonky textures here and there. But the game itself looks incredible. It looks super good. And again, there's so many enemies. Every area has like 20 to 30 different enemy types. It's pretty outrageous how different they made every area feel and every chapter feel. But one of my favorite aspects of the game is at the end of every chapter, there's a cutscene that plays. It's like a little music video. They call it a music video, and you get access to them to watch them again in the menu if you want to. These music videos are absolutely like just beautiful, man. They are incredible. The music is fantastic, and just the aesthetic. Every single one of these after every chapter is a different art style and different animation style. The most drastic one is chapter 2, and it's my favorite one. It's a stop motion It's a stop motion animation, which it's the only stop motion one and the only 3D one that I remember. But all the 2D ones have different animation styles as well, which is really cool to see. But I was blown away by the first one. I was really surprised. I thought that was really cool. But after seeing it in chapter 2 and seeing it at the end of chapter 2 and seeing this beautiful stop motion cutscene, I was pretty blown away. And it became a thing that I looked forward to in the game. That kind of just a highlight of every section of the game. And I kind of want to talk about towards the end of the game. It leans more into kind of the spectacle. I really wanted this game to kind of be I wanted it to lean more into this. It feels like a Chinese God of War in a sense. I would say it feels more like a God of War-esque game than it does a Souls-like game. And like one of the best things about God of War, the Norse ones or the Greek ones, is the spectacle. There's so much spectacle in every single like big fight that you have, whether it's in the Norse ones or the Greek ones. The spectacle is there, and the spectacle, when it's there in this game, it's there. And I wanted that, I think, a bit more throughout the game. But man, this game's spectacle towards the end is incredible. One of the bosses, I won't kind of like, if you haven't played it, play it. It's a great game. One of the bosses towards the end, the secret final boss, if you know what I'm talking about when I say that, one of my favorite bosses that I've ever fought. It was just such a fun experience, such a fun boss to fight. Really enjoyed it. There's so much good stuff that this game does. Definitely outweighs kind of like just the gripes that I had, and I think the direction that I wanted it to go, it didn't quite go, but I definitely don't want to detract from the game itself. Absolutely fantastic game. If you haven't checked it out, if you're on the fence, definitely check it out. Odds are you'll probably like it more than I did, even though I liked it a lot. So, and another thing, the spells in this game are a ton of fun as well. And they flow really well with the gameplay and the basic moveset that you have. I really enjoyed all the spells and kind of the different builds that you could do. Very, very engaging to be able to do that. That time stop one, the immobilized one, I love that spell. Even though it's like the first one that you get, so much fun. Really liked it. So definitely check out this game if you haven't. It's very well made and it's very good, for sure. Coming in at number 12 is Resident Evil 7. This game is also kind of a unique one on the list, as my first experience with Resident Evil and was through Resident Evil 7. Back when it came out, I had watched a playthrough or two of the game. And that is my first experience with Resident Evil as a franchise in terms of the games. And I really enjoyed it. And this year I decided, like kind of that October time, I always like to play kind of like a horror game. I had it. I don't know. I don't remember how. I think it was a free game of the month or something at one point, or something along those lines. I had it one way, shape, or form. And I wanted to check it out. And I played it, and it's a great game. I love this game so much. Definitely a perfect game to play during October, during the spooky season. And I had a great time going through it. There's some times where it's really tense, and it's really spooky. And I had forgotten a lot of the game itself from when I watched it originally. There were some like plot points here and there that I remembered, but there was a lot that I forgot, and I hadn't played the DLCs. I hadn't watched anyone play the DLCs before, so playing through them for the first time, that was a first time experience, and I really enjoyed them. And I think, like Resident Evil 7, I beat the game, I really enjoyed it, but I really felt like there was a lot of like loose ends that I wanted to see tied up, and the DLCs handled it perfectly. The DLCs are, I think, honestly, in my opinion, one of my favorite aspects of the game, which is kind of funny because it's a little bit more of the action aspect of the game. As someone who's, I prefer, after playing Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 4 remakes, I definitely prefer the Resident Evil 4 remake, even though I do really like Resident Evil 2. So I definitely prefer the action aspect of Resident Evil a bit more, looping in with the horror. And those DLCs are just so much fun. The one where you play through with Not a Hero, where you play as Chris Redfield, ton of fun. The one where you play as Joe Baker, yeah, the uncle. Like you're like a WWE wrestler, like boxing the enemies that you fought, like you're fighting for your life in the base game with. Just a ton of fun. That DLC was so much fun. And even the other DLCs, they just felt like fun little mini games. There's like a survival wave-based one, a wave-based survival one. There's a escape room one. There's a blackjack one. Like it was just so much fun playing through all the DLCs after playing the main game. And yeah, this game it revived the Resident Evil franchise, and for good reason. This game is really, really good. If you're on the fence about getting into Resident Evil, I think this is a really good soft start. I mean, I would probably recommend starting with Resident Evil 2 remake, or the Resident Evil 1 remake at the very least. But this is a good place to kind of check out if you're interested, and especially if you're into you're more into the horror aspect of these games. This is, I definitely think, like probably the perfect game to get into if that's what you're into. This game is just so much fun, so fantastic. Really glad that I played it for the first time here this year. Coming in at number 11, we have Returnal. This is a roguelite game that came out in 2023, if I remember correctly. This game is phenomenal. I think it's a PlayStation exclusive. It was a PlayStation exclusive. I can't remember. This game was available in the PlayStation Plus Extra catalog, and I had it in my backlog for so long, and I wanted to check it out because I had heard so many good things about it. And this game was really good. This is a very interesting roguelite game, as it's a story-based one. So as you progress through the game, the story kind of unravels itself to you. And the further that you make progress in it, the more progress that you make in it, the more story you unravel, and that's kind of like the thing that keeps you going. But the gameplay, man, the story itself is really interesting, but the gameplay is what keeps you there, right? Which is great. I could hop back into this game, and which I've been thinking. I haven't gone back to it since I played it, but I've been wanting to. The gameplay of this game is just so much fun, right? And that's what you want from a roguelite, right? For sure. But the story gets you interested and gets you invested. And as you play the game, the story gets you invested. But the gameplay keeps you going. They both just do such a good job in tandem. Like, if you care about the story, great. But if you care, the gameplay is so good that you're going to be interested in it anyway, right? And so if the story's not quite hooking you, the gameplay's going to hook you. And if the gameplay's not quite hooking you because you're not too into roguelikes, the story's going to hook you. They're both really good. And there's a ton of things. I know there's a ton of stuff that I hadn't gotten to. I know there's some stuff that I need to do. I think there's like some post-game stuff that I didn't get to. So, because I kind of just finished the story and I had another game I wanted to get into at the time, but I definitely want to go back and do some more of the extra stuff in there. But if you're worried about the content not being good enough post-story, I know there's a ton of stuff. I think there's another ending that I could go back and get, doing some secret stuff. I think there's like an endless mode and stuff like that. There's so many different builds. This game is just so much fun. It's a blast. It turns into a bullet hell. at times, if that's kind of like in terms of like it's a over the shoulder shooter that kind of is a bullet hell at the same time. This game is so much fun. If you haven't heard of it before and you're into roguelikes, check it out. It's so much fun. Definitely recommend. If you're seeing the gameplay back here and it's interesting you, definitely check this game out. So much fun. I definitely have been kind of itching to get back into it, so I definitely want to play it here pretty soon. But fantastic game. And if you're not into roguelikes, just play it for the story. The story's pretty solid, and it's kind of fun unraveling the mystery of what's going on here on this planet. So definitely a great game. Coming at number 10, we have another roguelike. This is Blueprints. This is a small indie game that actually came out this year. I had heard of it, and I was kind of interested, but I had no intention of playing. And then I saw that it was in the PlayStation Plus extra catalog, and I was like, I don't know, whim, I decided to check it out. This is probably one of the most unique games that I've ever played. This is a roguelike puzzle game. Kind of a basic premise is that I think it's your uncle that passes away. It's been a second since I played it, but it's your uncle passes away and hands off his estate to you, the Mount Holly estate. He passes it off to you as your inheritance, but in order to actually inherit it, you have to find the secret 46th room in the 45-room estate. Now, the game itself is kind of a play on words for what you're doing in the game, is that you're working with blueprints. And working with blueprints as you go through, and as you enter a new room, you open a door and you're given a set of blueprints, and you get to choose one of three not randomly generated, but three random rooms in a pool of rooms. And as you get through the game, as you get better at it, you get better at constructing, and you get better you find better rooms and stuff like that. Right? This is a roguelite, not a roguelike, as you're kind of like progressing and permanently upgrading as you go through. But it's really, really satisfying. This is, again, one of the most unique games I've ever played. I remember at the beginning of the game, it tells you that you're going to want like notes, and you're going to want to have like an IRL notebook on the side to keep track of things. And I was like, okay, whatever, sure. And then I think within like 2 hours, I had a notebook on the side that I was writing notes on, or it was a piece of paper, but a piece of paper on the side that I was scribbling notes down on, like, okay, this is how this room works. It's so much fun. One of the most fun experiences that I had in 2025, and one of the most unique experiences that I had playing a game ever. This game is so much fun. I don't want to spoil any puzzles or anything. There's so much unique stuff. I think the less that you know about this game, the better. So definitely check it out. It's so much fun. I even had a really fun experience. One of my friends hopped into a PlayStation party with me, and I was screen sharing, and we were kind of we worked through it together. We stayed up till like 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning, kind of working through and trying to figure out some of the puzzles together. It was just so much fun. This game is just a blast, and just a truly unique and unforgettable experience. And even once you get to the end of the game, I got to the end of the game, it felt so rewarding, and it feels so rewarding finding like little pieces of the puzzle as you get closer and closer. There's still a lot that I know that I haven't done in this game. There's areas that I hadn't been to. There's rooms that I never even went into. And there's stuff that you unlock at the end of the game, so to kind of keep you going in the post game. There's so much to do in this game. This game is a ton of fun. If what I said interests you at all, support it. It's a small dev team, and the game is pretty cheap, even though I got it for free. But I definitely, knowing it now, I definitely would be fine buying it. So this game is a ton of fun. Definitely check it out if it sounds interesting to you. If you're into puzzle games or you're into roguelikes or both, definitely check this game out. Ton of fun. Truly unique experience. Coming in at number 9, we have another roguelike. We have 3 back to back. This is Elden Ring Night Rain. This game I was really excited for. A lot of people were kind of down on this game and not really optimistic of it. That FromSoft was making a multiplayer game, and a lot of people didn't like the fact that you drop into a map as a circle shrinks. And a lot of people had like Battle Royale PTSD, but the fact that they said it was a roguelike kind of like immediately made me go, I don't really care about there being a zone, right? That's just kind of the way that the roguelike it works. It's a ton of fun. I was definitely intrigued in it, and I was curious about how it would work, and playing it, it's a ton of fun. There's a lot of great characters to play as in this game, and I definitely kind of stick to my main like 3 or 4 characters that I enjoy going back and forth between. But This game is just so much fun. If you're into the Dark Souls games, it's a lot faster paced than obviously you're sprinting like Mach 10. I think you're as fast or maybe even faster than Torrent, it feels like at times. This game is just so much fun. And kind of there's definitely kind of a steep learning curve as you start the game and like kind of getting a feel for like the pace that you need to have for this game. The Night Lords at the end of every night are so much fun. And I think they did a really good job. I know there's a couple that are a little bit on the slower side that a lot of people don't really like, but I think is good for like diversity and variety in terms of the main boss roster. The DLC, I haven't gotten around to playing it too much yet. My time has been kind of busy during the holidays, but from what I've played of it, I've really enjoyed. And I haven't gotten to the Dreadlord, but I played the Balancers, and they were a ton of fun. I really liked them. But I hope that we get more free content updates. I hope that they add like the Shadow of the Erdtree, like some Shadow of the Erdtree weapons and weapon types. I hope that we get maybe some more bosses from like Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3 and stuff like that. And maybe Bloodborne, fingers crossed. I know that game doesn't exist anymore apparently, but that'd be sweet. But overall, the game's a ton of fun, and I really enjoy my time with this game pretty much almost every time that I hop in. So definitely a fun game to play, and if I get that kind of FromSoft itch, but I don't feel like kind of maybe starting up a new playthrough or playing a whole new game or whatever, it's definitely a fun time to just kind of hop in and do a run. But yeah. Coming in at number 8, I have Shinobi Art of Vengeance. This is the newest entry in the Shinobi series that has been coming out since the 80s, if I remember correctly. There's a DLC that's coming out in 2026 that I'm pretty excited for. But this game was a ton of fun. This is a hack and slash platformer, like the game has been for forever. The art style is what initially sold me on this game. This game looks fucking gorgeous, dude. I mean, you're seeing the gameplay in the background. It looks so good. And so that's what initially kind of sold me on this game, and had me interested in it, and just seeing like the fast-pacedness of it. And it had been a long time since I've played like a 2D platforming hack and slash game, so I had really been interested in playing it and getting your hands on it and kind of feeling it. Just, it's so smooth. The gameplay just it plays so well. The platforming feels so good. There's some really fun platforming sections in the game that are a ton of fun. The platforming feels good. The combat feels so good. The boss fights are fun. There's quite a bit of content in this game. The campaign is relatively short. You're probably going to beat this game, and if you're trying to 100% every stage, then the game will probably take like 13 to 15 hours. I think that's about what it took me. But if you're just kind of going from point A to point B and trying to get to the end of each level, this game will probably take you like 8 to 10 hours. But this game just feels so much fun. As you progress, obviously, you're kind of unlocking new moves and combos and stuff like that. But just like getting your bread and butter combos down feels so good. And kind of like you're juggling, and like the basic enemies just feels so much fun. Like I could fight waves of enemies in this game for hours. There's a boss rush game mode that they have, which is a ton of fun. I haven't gotten through it all the way, but I kind of recently got messed around with it a couple weeks ago, actually, and had a ton of fun kind of messing around with the game again. It came back to me relatively quick. If there was a survival like wave mode thing, I would play the hell out of that too. I'm excited for the DLC. That'll be a ton of fun to kind of dive back into, but this game is just so much fun. It looks gorgeous, and the gameplay plays like a dream, man. The platforming's so good, and the platforming's really good. It's not the best platforming ever, obviously. That's what platformers are for, but the platforming is very fun and smooth, and the gameplay feels so good. I know there was a Ninja Gaiden Ragebound kind of game that came out right around the same time. I definitely want to check that out as well. This is just the game that I kind of picked at the time, but I'm excited to check that out in the future as well. But this game is just so good. Definitely check it out if it looks interesting to you from what you're seeing in the background. I'm not going to say that my gameplay is the best you've ever seen, but this game is so much fun, so stylish, and the music is so good as well. Music is fantastic in this game, for sure. Definitely check it out. Okay, coming in at number 7, this is the first game that I played this year. This is Yakuza Kiwami. This is a remake of the original Yakuza game from 2004 or 5 on the PlayStation, the original PlayStation. I think it was the original PlayStation, or PlayStation 2. I can't remember. But I think it's PlayStation 2. Yeah, PlayStation 2. But this game's a lot of fun. Obviously, I played Yakuza 0 for the first time in 2024. And again, kind of, I guess, a spoiler for my ranking last year. That was my game of the year. Yakuza 0, one of my favorite games of all time. Easily like made my top 10 list off of first impressions. The game is so good, and a year later, I feel the same exact way. I played this game right after it in January last year, and well, really good. It just didn't quite hit the highs as Yakuza 0. There's some really good things here. I kind of felt like it looked a little, I don't know, it just felt a little wonkier in terms of like cutscenes and stuff like that. It just didn't feel as, felt a little wonkier than 0, and I think RGG just didn't have, I don't think their storytelling was quite as good. Yakuza 0, the story is so phenomenal. And Yakuza, and obviously this is a remake of an old game, so for the most part, I think the story is obviously the same. So there's some things that it's just not quite as good, but the story's still good. I kind of heard that. I think that's just kind of how the Yakuza games are, is that the stories are just kind of great. The side content in this game is just as good as it is in 0. I think 0 has it beat a little bit, but there's some really great side content in this game, which one of my favorite aspects of this game is the Majima everywhere side content and like kind of side quests that are in this game. So fucking good, so funny. The random Majima encounters that you have throughout the game and fighting him, and just the random bullshit that he does is so much fun. That's what makes Majima such a great, fun character. But this game was just a great time. The gameplay, again, just as good as 0. And overall, just such a phenomenal game. It's quite a bit shorter if you're kind of interested. Like, I think Yakuza 0 took me about I did a lot in Yakuza 0. I didn't 100% it or anything, but I did a lot, and it took me about 80 hours. This game took me only about 30. But this game was, again, a blast. Definitely recommend getting into the Yakuza franchise. I'm excited. I haven't played Kiwami 2 yet, but that's going to be a game that's going to be on my 2026 list for sure. So, and I'm excited for it. There's Kiwami 3 that's coming out in March, I believe. So very excited to eventually get around to playing that. Maybe I'll get to that in 2026 as well. But this game was phenomenal. Tons of side content, tons of great stuff. A lot of the same things I said about Yakuza 0 in my last ranking I could say about this game. This game just kind of comes up a little bit short, and I think the side content is just not quite as good, and the story is just not quite as good, but the gameplay is there, and the story is still really good, and the side content is still really good in this game. So really, really great experience playing this game as well. Coming in at number 6, I have Resident Evil 8. Now, this is the main reason why I wanted to replay Resident Evil 7, or play Resident Evil 7 for the first time. I was interested in playing Resident Evil 7, but Resident Evil 8 I had in my backlog, and I wanted to get around to it. And I had stayed as spoiler-free as possible. There were some things that I knew about going into it, but I stayed as spoiler-free as possible, which was great, and this game was a phenomenal experience. This is kind of like a mix between Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 7. Given that it's first person, by the time that I played it, there had been a third person update, so if I wanted to, I could have played it in third person. I didn't, but I could have if I wanted to. But this game is just like the action in this game, the gameplay. One thing I forgot to mention about Resident Evil 7 is just the gunplay, and I think maybe it was intentional because it did feel better in the Chris Redfield DLC, but the gunplay in Resident Evil 7 just felt a little off, and it felt like I just couldn't do what I wanted to do all the time. Whereas Resident Evil 8, the gameplay just feels so good. I like the enemies a lot in this game, and the aesthetic of this game for the most part. Obviously, there's times where it's not quite the same aesthetic, but this game's obviously a more gothic vibe, which is up my alley. And the action is what I want from a Resident Evil game, is kind of the mix of the action and the horror. So the fact that there's quite a bit of both in this game is really good, and I like a lot of the characters in this game. Heisenberg is goated. I liked that whole section. I mean, I liked every section. There's some really good, like they had the house, I think Beneviento, I think is what it was. That section was really good. I think that was probably my favorite section of the whole game. That section was so freaking good, dude. Kind of getting rid of all your weapons, and it was just so good and so stressful. Kind of doing everything, and that enemy, I won't spoil it if you haven't played it, but that enemy that's there is really good. And then the DLC, I really liked the DLC. Not at all what I was expecting from the DLC, but very cool and a very satisfying kind of conclusion to the game. The DLC definitely kind of got into some kind of funky stuff that I was like, whoa, I did not expect it to get into. It was pretty far out there, but the DLC was great and kind of was a little bit more of a survival horror experience at times, and had some really great sequences in it as well. So overall, I think even just with the base game, I liked it more, I think, than Resident Evil 7 and the DLCs, but adding the DLC in there, I think just added to it. I just kind of more up my alley. If someone likes Resident Evil 7 more because it's the more horror aesthetic, I totally understand. They're both really good games. I just really liked everything that Resident Evil 8 had going for it. There were some things story-wise that I didn't entirely love with Resident Evil 8. Which I think Resident Evil 7 had the better story. But overall, I don't think the story in Resident Evil 8 was bad or anything. I just definitely think there were some things that I felt like, that kind of seems a little convenient. But overall, I really love this game. This is a ton of fun, and I played both of these back-to-back in October for Halloween. Awesome experience there. Now we get into the top 5. This is the most surprising game on my list for me, I think, 100%. This is Unicorn Overlord. I had no intention of playing this game this year. And again, another PlayStation Plus extra catalog game that I just kind of saw that was for free. I was interested in it, and I heard good things about it. And actually, I was kind of interested in Octopath Traveler and this game, so I had both heard that they were very good, and I was interested in playing them. I actually thought this game was a turn-based RPG, like a classic turn-based RPG, and this game is actually a strategy game. I had no idea, and so I started up the game and got through the tutorial, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I will like this game. And so I was like, I played my first impression of playing the game. I put in I think an hour and started it on a whim. And I was like, man, I don't know if I'm going to like this game. I thought this was a turn-based game. That's kind of what I was having an itch for. But I thought that's not what I expected at all. I'm not sure if I'll like it. I feel like I'll probably get bored of it being a strategy game and me kind of just setting up troops and units and then watching them battle, and based off of how I set up my unit and the strategy that I impose, and having that be what wins as I watch it happen. I didn't know if I would end up enjoying it, and I felt like I would maybe maybe this will be a good game. I'll probably beat over the course of a year or two, and I'll come back to every once in a while. This game it was so much fun. I literally the next day, I think I played for 6 or 7 hours. I had the day off. I played for 6 or 7 hours straight, and I lost track of time, man. I just got so engrossed in it. The gameplay loop was just so satisfying to me. I don't think I can have nostalgia for a game already as much as I do for this. As I was getting music ready and kind of doing some of the setup for this video, I was listening to the soundtrack because I like to listen to the soundtracks of the games that I played to kind of think about what songs that I might want to put into the background of the video that I'm making right now. And I was listening to it, and I immediately had so much nostalgia for so many of the tracks in this game. It was crazy. And this game reminded me so much of some of the games that some Flash games that I played back in the day when I was a kid. Just so much fun. I had so much fun playing this game. A lot of the story is relatively straightforward. It's you're a prince that needs to go and save the kingdom from this evil demon lord guy, or this evil overlord guy. He's not really a demon lord, but this evil overlord guy. And that's about it. And you build up an army as the game goes on, and that's kind of the premise. But the characters are pretty fun and endearing. There's some really fun conversations, and you build a big part of the game is as your player character Elaine. You build rapport and relationships with every character, not just the female characters, but you build relationships with every character. And there's some really great a lot of them I don't really care about in terms of the conversations, and characters that build not just with yourself, but you build rapport with other characters. So other side characters build relationship with other side characters, and some of the conversations they have are very fun and endearing. And there's some really fun characters that I enjoyed in this game, and some Yeah, and it's not like emotional. It's not going to be. You're not going to like bawl your eyes out because of how good the story is. But there's just some fun characters and some fun character moments that you have when building the rapport and the conversations that you have. And the gameplay loop just got me addicted so quickly. That's what really surprised me. So this game just so nostalgic feeling, reminded me so much of games that I played, like Flash games that I played growing up. Didn't think that I would like this game, and I ended up putting. This is one of the weirdest things for me. In game, it said I had like 100 hours, and and on the PlayStation it says I have like 60, and I have no idea like how that happened, but it's kind of weird. But I had a hell of a time playing this game, and I think I platinumed it. I platinumed it. Very easy platinum, actually, by the way. If you're like a platinum hunter and and you're looking for a game to platinum and you're not scared of a strategy game, check this out. But and there's even some things I think I can do post game that I didn't quite get to. But I really enjoyed this game. It was a ton of fun. I was really surprised by it. Okay, coming in at number 4, I have Persona 3 Reload. I played Persona 5 over the course of like 3 years or 4 years. I think it was on my 2023 ranking. I ranked pretty highly. Persona 3 Reload, I played in not one sitting, obviously, but I played in like one set. I didn't take breaks. It didn't take me over the course of several years. It just hooked me, and I just liked this game more than Persona 5. I haven't played Royal, so I don't know if I don't think that Royal would change my opinion on Persona 5 too much. I played the original Persona 5. Persona 5 Reload, man, though, it totally the cast of characters I liked a lot more than in Persona 5. Persona 5, I really only cared for a couple characters quite a bit. Like, obviously, I enjoyed all the whole cast, but there's really only characters I cared about. I cared about every single character in this cast. This cast was really good. I enjoyed the story a lot more. I enjoyed the progression of the game a lot more. Now, Tartarus versus Mementos are kind of similar, so it's not like too big of a deal there. I actually enjoyed Tartarus more than Mementos. So obviously palaces are way better in Persona 5. That was definitely like the thing that Persona 5 had against this. But everything else this game I just really liked more. I enjoyed Tartarus more than Mementos. I enjoyed the gameplay is basically the same, but I enjoyed the characters more, and I just enjoyed everything, I think, a little bit more than in Persona 5. And the characters are what you play this game for, right? So I think that's a big deal, but this game was a ton of fun. I had a really good time playing it. The DLC I'll probably play at some point, I guess, right? So I would like to play that DLC at some point. I didn't get around to it yet, but I'll play it at some point. But it was a really, really great time. Really enjoyed my time playing this game. Okay, top 3. Coming in at number 3, we have Monster Hunter Wilds. Obviously, coming into this year and knowing the games that had been announced, this was probably my game of the year frontrunner coming into the year. This is the game that I thought would be my game of the year, and it was close. It was close, but yeah, overall it just came up a little bit short compared to the other 2 games that are in front of it. This game was a ton of fun. There's some problems that I have with it and some things that I think that Capcom should have done differently. And obviously the performance issues on PC are not good. It's good that finally they're really starting to hound on it, which is good. So I hope that by the time that the expansion eventually comes out, that all the performance issues are fixed up on PC, because it is very, very unfortunate that that's something that's going on with it. And I'm not like a big performance guy. I don't notice stuttering or any a lot of the smaller issues. As long as my game runs smoothly enough, then I don't really notice anything. So on PS5, I haven't noticed any issues. I've heard some people on PS5 had a problem with performance and stuff like that, but overall I think the game has run really good for me, really smoothly. So I have almost nothing but great things about this. And if I'm being honest, this game is so close for me, so close to me from being the perfect Monster Hunter game. I love so much about this game, but there's just a couple things about it that just kind of irk me in the wrong way. But overall, this game is really good. I think this has one of the best monster rosters that we've seen in a Monster Hunter game. Now, I think this game released in an interesting state. The first title update, I think, like, as someone that played Rise on launch, and I played World, and I played some of the older Monster Hunter games. I played 3U and GU and 4U. But in terms of like base roster launch, I think that it did a better job than Rise. World felt the most complete on launch, and Rise definitely felt like it was missing some stuff. Really, the main thing that I felt like this game was missing on launch was a hub and a high rank Zoshia. If it had a high rank Zoshia and a hub, I felt like this game would have been perfectly fine, and I felt like everything else would have felt like actual content updates. Whereas Rise felt like it was kind of finishing the game with its content updates. This game, I think overall now, and GOG Mazios is out, and we're almost done. I think there's another update coming out in February, where we'll get kind of like the final stuff, where we'll get Arch-Tempered Arkveld, which will be really cool. But ultimately, the game is basically done at this point, and I feel satisfied. I'm very happy with how the game is and all the stuff that the game has. I think the game is in a good place in terms of the content. There's still some things that I have some issues with at times. I think the pacing of the game is not good, and I think that's what leads to a lot of people feeling like there was not a ton of content in high rank. I think how they structured the game specifically was not very good. For example, I think low rank should have ended at New Udra. I think New Udra should have been the low rank kind of like climax. And then they continue the story into high rank, so that way high rank doesn't feel like, okay, here's the post game. And because that's kind of what they made high rank, was the post game, which made it, and made every other monster other than a couple, other than like 3 or 4, available immediately. So it didn't really feel like there was much to do once you beat low rank, which normally high rank is where you feel like there's everything to do. So I just feel like the pacing and then structure of the game is kind of at fault. I could talk about Monster Hunter Wilds and all my grievances and my my praises for the game for probably hours. So I want to try to keep the rambling to a minimum, and I could probably make a whole other video on the state of the game. But I'm very passionate about this game, and I think this game is so close to being the perfect Monster Hunter game, but there's just some things that really hold it back a little bit. And we'll see. Maybe the expansion will kind of fix a lot of, I mean, it won't fix the issues that I have with the base game, but maybe the expansion will kind of change my mind on that. But I really love this game. It's my number 3 game for a reason. I could go back and play this game all the time. Fantastic game. And just kind of a couple more smaller nitpicks as a big Monster Hunter fan that I have, but this game is really good. And again, the performance on PC is very unfortunate, and I really hope that they get that ironed out, because that's obviously a big detractor of the game. So hopefully they get that ironed out. Coming in at number 2, and okay, deciding for my number 1 and number 2 spot this year was easily the hardest out of the 3 years that I've done this. It was very difficult. These 2 games at number 1 and number 2, honestly, I went back and forth on what was my game of the year. And there was a couple small factors that really decided for me what was my game of the year. But that being said, coming in at number 2 is Hollow Knight Silksong. This game obviously came by surprise. Team Cherry was radio silent for like what felt like 20 fucking years. I swear to God. And then they just go, okay guys, here's a trailer, and surprise, the game's coming out in 2 weeks. It completely like threw off all plans that I had. I had pre-ordered Shinobi, and I was super excited to play that game. And I was like, Shinobi's literally coming out like a week before Silksong. I gotta like grind Shinobi out and put a lot of time and effort into beating this game quickly, but give it a fair shake. And Silksong comes out, and it's so good. After having sat on it for a couple months now, I do think that I enjoy Silksong. I like Silksong more than Hollow Knight, and that's crazy to me to say. Because Hollow Knight 1 is a top 10 game of all time for me. I love that game so much. I look back so fondly on it. It's one of my favorite games I've ever played, and I do think that Team Cherry did it. They made a game that I think is actually better than Hollow Knight. And now, I think the one thing that I will give Hollow Knight is I do enjoy, I think, as of right now, I haven't dove as deep into the lore of Silksong as I did for Hollow Knight. But I would say that I enjoyed Hollow Knight's lore and story a bit more than Silksong's. But overall, it's just I can't look at Silk Song and put it over Hollow Knight with everything that it did. I think gameplay-wise, it's a lot better. Even though Hollow Knight 1's gameplay wasn't bad or anything, it's just Silksong does such a good job. I love the crests that add so much different variety. Now, obviously, I kind of stuck with the main one that I stuck with for a good majority of the game, but I mean, going back and replaying the game, it's like I could play the game with a different crest if I want to and have a completely different experience on some bosses or some areas, right? And everything about it is just so good. And the tools, I love the tools so much. The game is so beautiful. And again, both games are so good. The atmosphere is so good. But the amount of bosses in this game are so good. I don't know yet if I have bosses. I don't know. It's hard thinking about the bosses, like looking back at like Pure Vessel or Nightmare King Grim and thinking like, do I enjoy a boss in Silksong more? Maybe. I think so. There's a couple of really good bosses in this game that I think I enjoy more. Christopher Larkin did it again. The soundtrack is a banger, and there's so many different tracks in this game. He did such a good job. The soundtrack is on point, just like it was in Hollow Knight 1. Truly phenomenal. The areas, this game is huge. This game is way bigger than Hollow Knight 1. It is insane. And if I had a nickel for every game that's on my on this list that had Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, I would have 2 nickels, right? It's a spoiler for number 1, but this game is so good. There's so much that this game had to it. When I think that I've seen everything that the game has in store, it just shows me more. The bosses are incredible. So much enemy variety. The areas are all great. So much area variety. Each area has such good atmosphere and ambiance, just like they did in Hollow Knight 1. The game is so good. I could talk about how fucking amazing this game is forever. It's so fantastic. Yeah, it's incredible. But coming in number 1, like I kind of spoiled briefly, it's Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Yeah, we'll give it another award. Right. This is the last game that I played this year. I had been wanting to, I had heard about it prior to it coming out. I had heard from someone that had played the game a little bit as like a demo run. And they were like, this game seems like it's going to be really good. And I was interested in it. And I was interested when it came out. I just hadn't gotten around to buying it. And right before the Game Awards, I noticed it was on sale for $10. I was like, oh man, or not for $10, but $10 off. And I was like, I might get it, but it's so close to the end of the year. I don't know if I want to squeeze another game onto this list. And then I watched the Game Awards, and I'm watching it win every fucking award ever, and I'm like, okay, screw it. And I bought it. And I played it, and I beat it right before the end of the year. There's some end game stuff that I haven't gotten to the end game stuff yet. I've been kind of started some of the end game stuff, so there's still stuff that I need to do in the game, and that I'm going to do. But I got to the end of the game, and this game is phenomenal. And the main thing that really kind of edged it out over Silksong for me is Silksong at the end of the day is more Hollow Knight. It's just more Hollow Knight. Their Expedition 33 is phenomenal in every right. The music, again, just like I said for Silksong and some other games on this list, the music is phenomenal. There's not a bad track on this list in this game. Every track is so good, whether it's calm and chill, whether it's fast and jazzy, or it's sad and somber, or it's epic and great. Every single track on this game is so good. The story is phenomenal. So many emotions that you're going to feel as you play this game. The characters are phenomenal. The gameplay revolutionizes turn-based combat, right? This is a turn-based game that takes turn-based games to a level that they haven't really gone to before, and adding a parry system to a turn-based game is such a simple idea, but such a revolutionary one when you think about it. And it really kind of like, and turn-based games aren't for everybody, and I enjoyed turn-based games quite a bit. So even if it didn't have it in there, but adding that parry element to it just really elevates it a lot, and gets you to, and even the quick time events that you have during your moves that you're doing, just even if it's simple and the quick time events don't really, but it just keeps you engaged. And the game does such a good job with it. And again, like I said, the story is so phenomenal and very impactful. The ending that I got, man, I'm going to go and get the other ending too. I definitely am going to platinum this game. I'm working on it right now. And I can't wait to get to the thing. I'm going to do the thank you update last once I get there. I'm excited to kind of check it out. But I mean, this game is truly phenomenal, and it's deserving of every accolade, And again, I went back and forth on Silksong or this, and it was like, man, I do really like Silksong so much. But at the end of the day, it's like, even though Hollow Knight is one of my favorite games of all time, and Silksong is just a lot more of that and even better, but it's hard to really look over Clair Obscur and say E33 and be like, I don't know, it's just so good. And the fact that it's the kind of the start. They said that Clair Obscur is going to be a franchise going forward, and this is kind of the start. It's just exciting to see, but fantastic game, and definitely my game of the year. But I'm just excited to kind of see what 2026 has to offer, because this is an incredible year. But yeah, well, there it is. That's my list. Thank you guys so much. I mean, this went on quite a bit longer. I kind of yapped for a while over a lot of these games. There was a lot to talk about. Now I got to try to see if I can edit all this into one video. So hopefully, hopefully I can. But this is phenomenal. This is a phenomenal year. All these games were so good, and this was really hard to kind of decide what was going to be my game of the year. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you stuck around through all this, thank you. If you just kind of skipped through to kind of hear about what I had to say or see which one was at each spot, again, thank you. I got to get to editing this tonight. Hopefully I can get this out pretty quick here, but thank you guys again so much for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy, but take care and bye-bye.